My name's Dan Seaman. I'm the commanding officer of the California Highway Patrol Contra Costa area and senior volunteer post number 320. The senior volunteer program started with the department back in 1997. Nearly every highway patrol office has a senior volunteer program or is in the process of actively putting together a senior volunteer program. The Contra Costa senior volunteer post started in 2011. We currently have 21 very active volunteers, and since 2011, they have donated over 10,000 hours of their time in serving the communities of Contra Costa County and the state. They help out with educational components, such as targeting young drivers with the Start Smart program, and the senior community with the Age Well Drive Smart program. Our volunteers also help us out at DUI checkpoints. They help us out at community events, and they're basically our ambassadors to the community. They keep tabs on our patrol cars to make sure that the necessary equipment's in there on a day-to-day basis by checking our EMT bags, making sure we have everything in there that we need, making sure that our safety equipment is stocked in our cars, that we have enough flares, we have enough emergency items in there should we find ourselves deployed. Our volunteers help out tremendously inside our office with a variety of tasks, whether it's shredding confidential documents, helping court officers process reports, any equipment or deliveries that we need to be distributed around the community, they help out with that. Sometimes we have events going on at the office, and our volunteers are great with helping coordinate these events. They help deploy the radar trailer when we want to conduct some speed enforcement. The volunteers are there to help out at any given moment with any task that we need. You can't put a dollar value to it. I mean, we could calculate out, minimum wage to 10,000 hours, but what it comes down to is the service that they provide is directly related with saving lives. Everything we do as an organization is to protect public safety, to save lives, and to ensure that California is a safe place to work, live, and travel. And our volunteers are key to that.
Just thought it would be a very interesting thing. I'd always had an interest kind of, secondary to my career path as far as law enforcement goes. And so I applied.
And the economy was down. They had a hiring freeze. So a lot of things that the senior volunteers could do if they brought them on board. Well, we weren't well received. Like I said, they thought we were taking someone's job. And then, excuse me, unfortunately, we had a tragedy where we lost an officer in the line of duty. And we all stepped up and took a large part of the work that was involved. We had a lot to do as far as helping the office run smoothly.
The unforeseen circumstance associated with Officer Youngstrom's untimely death really brought us close together as a close-knit family. Any kind of barriers that may have been in place at that time all came down.
I remember going to the hospital when the captain was there, and she was there with the family, and she was really connecting with the family, and I just remember seeing all the other officers there, and it was you felt a part of a family. It was really a family feeling that it gave you when you mourned alongside, as Peter was saying, with what was going on.
Now, as you make friends with the officers and the clerical staff, and we talk about when we first started, those that are still there, and they say, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if you were coming in with walkers and oxygen tanks. When they said senior citizens, they had a perception as well as, so it was kind of fun to hear that and overcome it and realize, oh, we're not that at all.
This was the first volunteer unit at 320, and I don't think that the staff and officers there knew what to expect of us either. They kind of offered us a choice of being either in the field, going out and doing stuff in the cars, or staying in the office and doing stuff. So, I mean, there were lots of opportunities, but it was just this start and stop process of being accepted and what kind of things,
Yeah, part of the joy of this whole program is getting to know the officers and the clerical staff as really kind of part of your family. And once you break that ice for the first time and you have a conversation or you have a joke or crack a few funnies with them, they kind of accept you and know what we can bring and assist the program with.
And the momentum builds. I think that's the thing that's nice. It was slow at first, but once it really started getting going and you started knowing some of the officers and some of the people there, then it was like a wave that just carried itself.
I think Cindy and I both started working on entering fuel log entries into the system, and at that time we didn't even have clearance to get on the system, so we had to wait until we got signed on to do it. And I think from that point, we evolved, and now I'm working more closely with certain officers on their projects. And it's good because it gives me a little more rounded feeling on what really goes on.
And that's one of the points that when we started, the fuel logs were something that I was talking about when it's a time eater. And so they were like months behind, not just a couple.
Because one of the auto techs was on a long-term absence,
Right.
And this had fallen into arrears so badly. And we stepped right in, Cindy being the first one, I think, because you were the one who was basically teaching everybody how to tab through the program and do all that. I remember.
But we brought it up to date in nothing flat, and that impressed people.
We gravitated to where the need was, and we filled that need, and then
We got braver the longer we were there. Instead of asking for people, could you help me? We would venture out and say, hey, I can do that, or can I help you with that? And I think that was an impetus, too, for us doing more. So we took a little more charge of our own destiny in a way, and they led us, and it's been wonderful.
Well, and as we got in and started playing, one of the first things they had us do is they have a sheet of what should be contained in the trunk of the patrol cars. So take this sheet and find out that everything is there. Pam fell in love with it. And so she knows the trauma bags and the first aid kits, and
Really, she owns it. She owns it. She does.
Absolutely.
One of the first things that they introduced us to was the radar trailer. They put the radar trailer out in the middle of the parking lot and said, this is how you do this is how you do this. And so one of the first real regular field things we were doing, we'd go out, we'd talk to the traffic sergeant, and he had a complaint in a certain area. We'd take the radar trailer out and post it there and then come back and get it later on. Chris also asked that we go and sit and watch the commute pattern around the schools. And we basically got a rotation going between some of the schools in the unincorporated areas where we'd go out and either morning or afternoon when the kids were being dropped off or picked up, that we'd kind of monitor things going on or pay particular attention to problems that they had pointed out to us. And that was a very successful program. I think it brought us some recognition from the headquarters.
another part of the operational environment that we became involved in were surveys. The office needed to know what speeds were like on certain sections in the county, what distracted driving was like in certain sections of the county, and so we were charged with going out when we could and doing surveys around speed, distracted drivers, seatbelt usage, and all of this information then came back to the office and into the management staff of where they would then apply additional resources to help people comply with those various rules and laws.
One of the officers is in charge of tow truck inspections and ambulance inspections, and so we recruit volunteers from amongst ourselves to help them out. And I never thought that I would ever have to inspect a tow truck, and you find out so much more about what is really needed when your car is out there, and make sure that if a tow truck arrives that it's got everything and he knows what he's doing. So it really makes you alert as to when they come up and are they prepared. And then the same thing with ambulance inspections as well. That was another thing that we many of us have taken on. And then the school bus testing with the same officer, Davidson. One other volunteer, Dan, and I helped Officer Davidson with testing individuals for school bus. And so we help grade them. And then I think the joy out of that is seeing when someone passes and they've been struggling and struggling. They've come back maybe a couple of times to retake a test, and then they pass. It makes you feel good because you know that they've been trying, and it's kind of satisfying to see them achieve that goal finally.
Jeff and I work the Cheaters program. We'll go out, and in our area, we have Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is a form of public transportation. And so we will go and look at cars there to see who's out of state.
We have access to a 50-state database. And so when we see plates that are from out of state, we go in and we find out if these people have any local ties, if they have a California driver's license, they have a California residence, anything like that. And then we kind of send them a little reminder letter that they might be out of spec as far as registering their car here in state. It's going to bring back revenue. It's a fun job because you have to use your brains when you're going to investigate. These people are tricky in what they do, and so you have to kind of know the ins and outs of it. It takes a while to learn it.
But all of us are involved in the Cheaters program because when we're out, we can take pictures of out-of-state license plates and forward that to the Cheaters program individuals who then work the process.
I had the opportunity to work as like a liaison with the public information officer, who was also the senior volunteer coordinator at the time. But it was a real learning experience to meet different people and different officials and see some of the behind-the-scenes kind of activity. That was extremely informative. So I really enjoyed that. It was a very, very good process to learn.
The greatest value that I have gained from this program is the value of additional friends, additional family members. I feel like that if I needed anything out of the ordinary, if something came up, I could go to any one of the officers or any of the management staff at the office or any one of the fellow senior volunteers, and they would help me. And that is just a great, great benefit for a senior volunteer doing something in their life after 42 years of working.
I want to piggyback on Peter's comments on that, because truly the feeling that I get with now that we're incorporated into the CHP is the family aspect of it. I know just in a couple of the events that we've attended, especially the memorials or funerals, you feel that sense of family from seeing all the officers and various people that do attend those functions and how they get affected by it. And it just gives you kind of a warm feeling that, if something were to happen, being as part of this family, you'd have that support the same way. And it really is a satisfying feeling, for sure.
I have to say that, just as Peter and Shirley have said, the friendships that have been forged out of this whole thing just was something that never did I expect in a million years. But, the original group of us and little by little with the new hires coming on, but it was just like we were suddenly just best of friends. And we hadn't, in the grand scheme of things, we haven't really known each other that long, 5 or 6 years. But I'm saying even early in the program, these friendships were being forged. And working with the officers, it kind of personalizes things. I think that people who are not familiar with the law enforcement culture and stuff like that, they think about, the red lights coming on behind them. But what we have the opportunity to do is work with these people and see how human and flesh and bone that they are and their feelings and stuff like that. And then we get to go out amongst other people and tell them these things and spread that feeling so that they know, so it's like we're ambassadors.
Yes.
and let people know what the highway patrol and what the patrolman and the whole culture is all about, and how it's supposed to be a service-based operation for the community.
When we're able to go out and interact with people and let them know truly, some of the things that we can do or some of the suggestions we have for their day-to-day life, whether it's the kids in their driving program that CHP puts on or the adults with the age well of how to stay driving longer, I think helps for people to know that there's another side to it.
You know, we are like a benchmark volunteer organization. It sure feels great to be part of that. And that is motivating to keep that momentum going, to interact with the people and to do all that, you know, and to help other volunteer units maybe reach that same type of plateau.
There are officers who may not cozy up to us for whatever reason, but I don't feel like that's a personal thing against us. I really believe that they recognize what we do. They may not express it verbally, but I think they do appreciate it.
And I think part of it is our responsibility to make ourselves known to the officers.
And after all, these guys have the hardest job in the world, really, because they're putting their life on the line one way or another every day. And speaking for the rest of the group, too, it's an honor to work with these people.
Yeah, it's an honor to ride with them on our ride-alongs. It's an honor to be with them when we're in the car alone with them. We have a moment to talk, and there's common things that come up that they love to talk about, families, obstacles or challenges in their lives that have come up that we, as having more experience as seniors, can talk about. They love it, and they thank us for that. It develops a great relationship.
Well, and I think we get a thank you from the community as well, because I know with, for instance, the Start Smart program, whenever parents leave after a presentation, many times they stop and say thank you for offering this, because we can't get it in the schools. And the fact that the CHP does it for free, and they try and accommodate, you know, the timing and everything for these working parents, and the kids, just to emphasize with the kids, you know, what the parent is assuming as far as responsibilities and that sort of thing. It just they are really grateful. So we know that even going out into the community, we're getting appreciation for that as well.
That was one of my goals when I quit working, is what am I going to do with all this time? You know, I'm not good at just having lax time. Everything gets put over. I'll do it tomorrow. So that was one of my things, was to go volunteer someplace, give them your time.
In many highway patrol offices, a lot of our officers and professional staff don't always live in the community that they work, but our senior volunteers do. And our senior volunteers are our direct link to that community and our ambassadors. As members of the community, our senior volunteers can bring directly to my office and to our staff concerns for the community, and as well as let us know of things that we're doing right and things that we can improve on. And to me, that's very valuable. What makes a senior volunteer program successful, in my opinion, is a variety of things, but most importantly, it's passion about public safety. It's about service. It's about leadership. It's about taking the values that our volunteers bring and their life experiences and imparting that to our staff and the community.
How do you give back?
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
a great way to give back to the community that has served you for all these years.
And the rewards are just incredible.
Yeah.
It's a two-way investment.
Mm-hmm.